Welcome to the last installment of Label Alert Extra, Executing Your Final Plan. We'd like to begin by thanking our sponsor, SGS Co., and remembering what we covered last month when we discussed scoping resources and costs. As you can see, there is a lot of work to be synchronized across a highly interdependent supply chain. This month, we will dig into some of the issues around execution, what has happened so far, and how it has gone to date. There are three perspectives to keep in mind: product-level execution, and execution across your company, and the industry too, because with this interdependent supply chain, other companies can become a bottleneck to your results. Over the last year, Prime Label has created and reviewed thousands of nutrition facts panels. The following data is based upon the panels we've seen in the first year of adoption. As we can see, the transition to the new panel is ramping up, and we expect that to continue exponentially. When we looked at Prime Label's first-year analysis in Step 5, we saw that almost all new adoptions were retail labels, while only 5% were food service. Also, while most were FDA labels, about 1 in 6 were USDA labels. This means that USDA companies are active in the mix and competing for the same resources of expertise, design, printing, and data as FDA companies. Thirdly, we found a surprise that about 1 in 8 panels that we see triggers the newly required dual-column nutrition facts panel across actually a wide range of categories. The other thing we see at Prime Label is that there's a lot of variation across brands' error rates. One might expect larger brands to have less errors, but this is not necessarily the case. When we looked at NFPs created by someone else, Prime Label is often the second-tier reviewer. Surprisingly, we still find that about half of panels have errors, and most of these are due to errors in content. Clearly, the graphics departments are well up to speed on the new regulations. But if we dive into the content errors, we find that most of those occur in the serving size and serving per container lines, which is concerning because these are the basis for every other number on the panel. And if this area is incorrect, the rest of the panel is likely to have problems. Of those with serving errors, about 1 in 5 have problems with both lines of serving data, with the other errors evenly split between servings per container and serving size. On the graphics side, the few errors that we see are usually related to font size. It can be difficult to fit the new NFP on an existing package, and some folks are taking shortcuts with font size. The good news is that with the extremely interdependent supply chain, these font errors are likely to be caught along the way. The other thing we need to layer in is increased consumer activism. With large calorie numbers everywhere they look, consumers are more likely to pick up on errors and are more aggressive with logging their complaints. Other industry-wide challenges beyond the consumer activism, error rates, and the supply chain bottlenecks mentioned previously include a high degree of regulatory uncertainty coupled with a lack of national brand benchmarks. This has dramatically slowed the industry-wide rate of transition to the NFP, which we anticipate will result in huge bottlenecks for printing capacity and regulatory oversight services the rest of this year and escalating into the next. On the company side, challenges include just the sheer amount of work that is getting squeezed through a complex supply chain, and complicating that, schedules that are tied to other priorities, dragging down efficiency. This is a quick view of challenges across the transition timeline. Note in particular that the risk of inaction is usually higher cost or maintaining a competitive advantage, which we'll address on the next slide. Here you can see an example. A major company challenge is the threat to brand identity some of these new NFPs will bring. In this case, a package of 4 toaster pastries goes from a 200-calorie NFP to an 800-calorie NFP, and front-of-pack claims are impacted. Moms who see that large number may question their loyalty to this product. Companies will need to revisit whether they will simply replace the panel with a new one with those large ugly numbers, remove the product from shelves, or perform NFP optimization to see if repackaging, relabeling, resizing, or reformulating the product will produce better data. Luckily, in this case, the manufacturer has successfully optimized their product and managed to bring down the calories declared to something closer to the old NFP numbers. This type of optimization can be a giant complex puzzle, so leaving time to refine and iterate will be key to this product's relaunch into the marketplace. The good news, bad news, is that while these challenges are pretty overwhelming, we have seen that it is possible to organize and triage them effectively. I just want to share with you one case study where Prime Label helped a large group of brands by following this 7-step framework. We started with comprehensive and specialized training to the QA and graphics design teams at this company, who translated the training into a quality control action plan. Prime Label then set up a feedback loop with spot checks of NFPs and reported problems back to the teams. This resulted in a dramatic decrease of errors within just a few short months. This concludes our 7-step series of converting to the new Nutrition Facts Panel. We at Prime Label and SGS Co. hope that you have found it useful and are committed to helping your company achieve an effective and efficient transition. Thanks for your time, and best of luck.